Hello and welcome back to the Battle Frontier podcast, where we aim to help you level up in your journey as a competitive Pokemon TCG player. I'm Aaron Curry. Here with me, as always, is my co-host John Orgel. And this week, we saw the release of the Mega Gengar, Mega Diancie EX Battle Decks. I think that's the right term. And I wanted to have a little bit of a discussion about it because there's been some online discourse about the timing of that release and how it has impacted things and how it has impacted testing for players. And I think I had a somewhat maybe unique perspective on it that I wanted to bring to the table. And then we're going to take a page out of our own book from last week and revive another long lost segment known as Frontier Fundamentals, because there was a recent tweet from the current Lorcana world champion that has some good lessons that we think could apply into the Pokemon sphere as well. And then we'll take a quick pit stop into Blaine's quiz show before we hit up the results of the Lille Regional Championship and how we think those results will impact the upcoming tournaments this week in Brisbane and Gdansk. So still a lot of tournaments left in this format, it feels long almost, right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird because it's such a short gap between this past set release and then the new one.
Right.
That's fantastic. But like we're getting a lot of tournaments in there. Yeah.
And then you go with
Um,
Phantasmal Flames and like the set drops and I think there's one tournament in November with it, maybe while it's legal, but then there's just nothing in December.
yeah, there's like no there. I guess they're
Or
just
maybe
taking
there's
all of
not.
December
There
off.
might just
There's
be
no
there might be
there.
nothing for Phantasmal Flames until the new year.
Yeah, you might be right with that. That's crazy.
So we're gonna hit the online metagame is gonna go crazy for that.
It's gonna
But
stew for a while for sure. Yeah.
we're not on Phantasmal Flames quite yet because there are no tournaments 2 weekends from now. We'll probably go ahead and hit up the rest of the Phantasmal Flames cards when that time comes. But I know before we jump into the main discussion of the show, I got to know, John, what were you doing last week?
Oh, last week we went up to. Actually, no, I stayed in Richmond. Sorry. That's fine. Right. We had a tournament I helped run for the card shop I've been helping out at. They actually had a 1K tournament
Okay.
here in Richmond, so that was pretty cool. It was the first time they did that 1K cash prizing, which I remember there was a lot of those. It seems like at one point coming out of COVID, but as like organized play came back, they kind of died out. I know Full Grip still does theirs whenever the new set drops, but yeah, I think Richmond's definitely. I mean, we have like a card show every week, and now it's like the competitive games trying to keep up with that. So it's but yeah, the card guys, the store I've been helping out with ran a 1K. Me and my friend Ben judged it. I kind of was the organizer. I ran Tom or ran just everything else, so paper pairings and all that kind of stuff. It was good. We had a pretty good turnout. We didn't know what to expect, but we had 33 people registered, paid $25, so we almost broke even. But
Sure.
first time it was kind of like a you didn't they don't think they expected it to do gangbusters, but they'll definitely the card guys will have some more. I think the goal is to have it like every 3 months or every quarter or whatever.
Yeah, so
um
basically like once per major set release,
Pretty
more or
much. I don't
less.
know if yeah, it's tough to like line it up with that exactly.
Sure. Right.
But yeah, we'll try to like line it up where there's not a regionals in the area or something like that. Um, there's no perfect weekend, but try to get it out far enough in advance to where you're not stepping on toes. And yeah, it was exciting. It was a fun tournament. We had Gardevoir versus Sarilege in the finals with Gardevoir winning. So it was
That
good. Uh,
sounds like the league challenge that you talked about last week,
yeah, it was Sarah.
or
Yeah, it
maybe
was
a couple
Gus.
weeks ago. It was like literally
No,
the
yeah, you're
same
right.
thing.
Yeah, they're very simple. Yeah, it was Ethan versus Gus in the finals, same decks. That's funny. I didn't think about that. Yep. So I did that, and then Sunday was kind of a wash. Was scheduled to help out with a Learn to Play event at Unplugged. They wanted to do just a Learn to Play Pokemon event. And unfortunately, I don't know, for whatever reason, there wasn't a huge turnout. So upside was I got to play a fun board game with the store owners. We played like this movie themed, like spooky movie themed kind of bidding game where you had to like bid for different actors and directors and all this stuff. And like, I don't know, whoever made the best or worst movies got um, points and you tally it up at the end. So it was fun. I don't remember the name of it, so sorry, but it was a good time. And then yeah, I just kind of Um, Last night for a league, or 2 nights ago now, it's we're recording a little bit late. Um, we had our Pokeween, which was fun. I did like a raid battle with the players that showed up. So the first round they lost, and the second round they came out a little bit stronger and won, taking down the Pikachu V Union I had. And it was just fun to make the Union jokes all the time, like you guys are Union busters, scabs, like that kind of stuff, trying to take down the working man. So, but it was funny. Um, yeah, I like using the V Unions a lot for the raid battles because they have like the most broken attacks. Like Pikachu has like disconnect for 150 and you can't play items, and then yeah, just 250 straight up. So it's pretty good.
Well, and you just get variety there too, right? Like whereas
Yeah,
most cards, unless it's something like Tyranitar EX from Unseen Forces that had 4 attacks on it, you've got just you don't have the text available to really make it as interesting.
right. Yeah, the V Unions have those, like they have 4 attacks, but I just don't use Union Gain.
Sure.
And so I just use the other 3, and then I'll roll a dice to determine like what attack is used.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, and then so that way it's like out of my hands.
Right.
And that's fun. I have like a deck that has a lot of draw, a lot of healing, and some like cool disruption cards. Like I run a Misfortune Sisters in there to like make them discard item cards. Run like um, Koga's Trap, Hypnotoxic Laser, uh, Reset Stamp, all that stuff. So it's a fun little like if you've never done a raid battle, definitely ask your league leaders about it. It's really easy to do. The jumbo cards, like I have like 3 or 4 jumbo cards I use for raid battles. Those are like
Hmm.
purpose made for raid battles. They're so good for that. But yeah, it's also like just go to the Pokemon.com website, look up in their rules and resources. They have like the alternate play handbook. There's a whole, like, if you go back, there's a section about raid battles, and it's pretty easy to follow along. So you can do it with like from anywhere from like 2 to 4, I think, players. I wouldn't want to do more than 4, otherwise it just
I feel
takes
like
too
it just
long.
wouldn't. It either
But
wouldn't be fun or it would be too easy, probably, right?
uh, well, it scales with the number of players you have. So
Oh, okay.
um, yeah,
I
I don't
clearly
really want
don't
to
know
get
enough
into
about this format.
everything right now. It's okay. It's a fun format. It doesn't really ever come up, but it's like
Sure.
fun to like because we had like a younger kid that was playing, and it's fun with it working with a team. So like the rest of the team can kind of help him figure out how to play his deck a little bit better to like and you can like boss your like so whenever you play a supporter, you can play it for your teammate, so you can boss up one of their Pokemon from the bench to the active. So at one point, the Pikachu V Union had like paralyzed everybody, and so like one of his teammates bossed up one of his Pokemon and brought it, and then he could attack with it. So it was fun.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, definitely alternate plays a lot of fun because it makes it more accessible. Kind of remakes the way like for a league, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, we did that. And then yeah, this weekend I'm going to Charleston, South Carolina, where my parents live, where I grew up. So I'm excited to go home there, spend some time with them for Halloween, watch the Bills game with my dad. So I'm excited about that. Bills put a wallop down. Thankfully, I was like in the middle of the Learn to Play event, so I didn't get to watch much of the game. But it was like a snoozer, so it was uh, not too bad to like miss that one. So
Right.
it's good. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got. What about you, Aaron? How was your weekend?
Well, first, like you said, we are recording a day late, and that is 100% my fault. Mostly, well, actually, I'm going to blame baseball for that in more
Of
ways than
course.
one. So we're in like a super, I guess, a weird or aggressive part of our team schedule for the season where we have had like we've got practice 3 times a week and then we had a tournament all last weekend straight into practice Monday. We had a scrimmage last night. We've got another practice tomorrow because Halloween's on Friday. So our head coach was like, no, that's cool. We want the kids to go out and have fun. Let's just do
Mm,
practice a day early. And then we've got another tournament this weekend. And then we've got like our full practice schedule for the week. And then another tournament the weekend after. So
Holy cow.
just a lot of stuff all lined up there. And then on top of that, the World Series is going on. So I've been making sure to tune into every game there. And Monday night was one of the craziest things that has
So
ever
long.
happened in baseball. And I ended up staying up till I think the game closed out literally like right at 2:59 a.m. when
Jeez, I did
Freddie
not know
Freeman
it was that long.
hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the 18th inning of the game. Like both teams had gone through literally all of their relief pitchers. They were about to start having position players pitch in the game, and it was just a mess. I'm sure everybody was exhausted, but it was really cool to watch. And it's like I started to fall asleep, and then I get these little adrenaline boosts because I'm like awake enough to see that something exciting looks like it just happened, and then it's like, oh crap, yes, did they win? No, they didn't. And then just get through the. But because of that, I was exhausted yesterday, and then just having to drive to like we visited a different team's field to do our scrimmage. So driving out to them and then driving back home. Got home late after staying up late, having to deal with getting my son ready for bed and everything, make sure that he's all set up to go to school today. And it was just not going to work to record last night. But that also covers what I was doing last weekend. We had a baseball tournament, so literally all day Saturday and Sunday, like out in the sun in Florida weather. Thankfully, it's starting to cool down a bit down here. We had a cold front come through. I actually think I saw on Friday it's supposed to be in like the 50s or maybe even colder, which is a
Wow,
little
it's like fall
early.
weather.
I
Yeah,
know, but it's a little early for it to get that cold down here. But I'm looking forward to it for sure,
yeah.
for sure. The only other thing, like we had a really weird freak storm, and I don't know if it's related at all to the hurricane that just like demolished Jamaica the other day, but like our town specifically, we got 19 inches of rain
Whoa.
in the course of like 8 hours to the point where like I know my father-in-law's home had some water come up into it. We thankfully were fine. Like you looked at our front door and it would just be like, oh, there's a couple puddles in the street, but nothing crazy is going on. So I guess we've just got like better drainage, better infrastructure than a lot of other places around our city. But there were a ton of crazy photos. I know at one point there's a restaurant nearby that the the entrance to the parking lot had been totally submerged, so you couldn't tell where it actually was. But there's a drainage ditch on either side of the restaurant entrance. So there was a car that was attempting to go through there and drove
Oh
straight into the
no.
ditch. But the funny part of the photo, and so the photo that I saw, that everything had dried out, so the car and this other part were both in the ditch. An ambulance came to attempt to assist the driver and their car, and the
Oh no.
ambulance drove right into the ditch too.
Oh man.
It's
That's
just like,
bad.
dude, like somebody's getting an earful
Just
from their
go home.
boss.
Yeah.
That's like this is not a good night. But it was crazy. Like
No.
they almost canceled school for all the kids yesterday.
Wow.
Like it was just
That's crazy.
it was nuts. It was kind of just a freak storm and nobody really knew what happened. But thankfully nothing too bad since then. And everything was really fine the next day. Yeah, just busy week doing things here and there and still making time to play Pokemon. I'm back on my Grimmsnarl grind. I had been off the deck for a little bit. The list that I was playing just didn't feel right, didn't feel good. And I had almost abandoned all hope for the deck in the format and had switched to starting to grind Gardevoir games on TCG Live. And
Oh,
obviously
dark
that
times.
that deck feels good. It's still good.
Yeah.
But put a new list together. Had a friend, Jalen Jones, messaged me over the weekend and asked me, if I'd been doing anything new with the deck. Just wanted to get some input from me. And I was like, I don't know, man. I don't feel really great about it, but let me try to throw something together. I'll play a few games and I'll let you know. And so Sunday night, I threw a list together. It's a little bit different from the one that I tweeted out ahead of Milwaukee. And I'll probably put it online at some point because who cares? I don't have enough time to try to write or maintain a Metafy article. So I'd rather just put
Yeah.
information out there for people. And it's funny. I had somebody else message me. I don't remember. They said they listened to the show. So if you were,
Hey.
let me see if I can find this name. If your name is Ethan Lawrence, shout out to you. Thank you for the message. But he,
Oh yeah, I know Heath. He's one of my locals.
oh, is
Still
he?
do them.
Well, he said
Yeah,
something
yeah.
along the lines of, "I'm me being the best Grimmsnarl player in the world," and I,
Hell yeah.
I
There
laughed.
you go.
I
Take
had
it.
I
Take
had a
it.
laugh about it, but I was like, no, I'm definitely not the best Grimmsnarl player in the world. I do think, but I do think that I know the deck better than a lot.
You
Like
are the best
the
Grimmsnarl player at a Worlds.
heck yeah, that's true. You're right.
There you
Um,
go.
um, but with that and the message from Jalen, like I put the deck or a new list together and been smashing games with it, man. Like the deck still feels good.
There you go.
I again wouldn't be surprised to see it pop up, and I'm back on my horse of we're going to see 3 of them in top 8 sometime soon. But
I
I
mean,
just need people to play the dang deck, man. That's what's holding it
yeah.
back. That's what's
It's
holding
a
it back.
tough one. It's not like intuitive as much as some of the other ones are. It's not easy to pick up. So yeah, it definitely takes a lot. It's like Zoroark, where I've been trying to play Zoroark, not to make it all about me here, but I've been trying to play Zoroark since Piper did well with it, and a little bit before that. I think I played a couple games with like the
Hmm.
Crustal build and the Cornerstone Mass build, and like those didn't feel very good, so I dropped that. But now that Piper did well and like Gabriel Fernandez did well with it, I was just like, let me try it again. And I tried it, and I'm just like, dude, I wish I was smart enough to do this. I don't feel smart enough to learn a new deck anymore. But that's okay. Like I I kind of had a um just a like moment of clarity the other day where I'm just like, I have to really be bad with a deck before I can be good with a deck. Like
Absolutely.
that's and it
100%.
I mean we'll talk about it in just a minute. So I think that's kind of going into what we were talking about or with this tweet that we're looking at. But that was one thing I had to realize and like had to humble myself and say like it's okay to be bad when you start doing something new for the first time. Like
Yep.
don't even like I'm at the bottom tier of the ladder because I haven't really been playing all that much, and it's still like I'm getting my butt kicked,
Every
and I'm
game's a
like,
struggle. Like
yeah, it's tough. So
you're
I
like
don't know.
fight. We're out here fighting in the streets while the people up in the penthouse are, sipping on
Yeah, the
some
Sarah
some.
ledges are just burning through me. It's like cool, great, having a good time.
But we will definitely, and I've like that lesson, like you referenced. We are going to talk about it again. Is definitely one of the main points of this tweet. But it applies again to everything. Like
Hmm.
we talk about it all the time with the kids, where it's like y'all are 8, 9. Some of them are almost 10 years old, doing what a lot of people consider to be one of the harder or hardest sports to play perfectly.
Hmm.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. You're not going to be perfect at this right now. But you put the time and effort in, and you'll get better at it. And 100% applies. Like as much as it's not a full physical activity, it still applies to the mental aspect of going through your paces and practicing with a deck, getting reps in with a deck is the same thing as doing a drill for a sport, where just
Right.
the repetition is what gets you there at the end of the day. I think we've talked about that before. But before we get into this tweet, because I do think that it's very important to get to, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the release of the Mega Gengar and Mega Diancie. I guess they're called Mega EX battle decks.
That sounds right.
And these products are very similar to the Marnie's Grimmsnarl and Stevens Metagross battle decks that released right before Destined Rivals came out. And the similar time frame, they're releasing a couple of weeks before the set does, but they're having this weird impact, and similar to what the Grimmsnarl deck did, on where they are immediately legal for play on TCG Live, and which means they are immediately legal for play on the TCG Live ladder. And a lot of players have voiced concerns that this product is impacting their ability to test properly, because their primary means of testing is playing on the TCG Live ladder. And while I do agree that it kind of sucks, but there's the way that the product is releasing. You've got, the average casual player that still picks up TCG Live, puts in the code card for their Mega Gengar deck, doesn't want to not be able to play it, right? But it led me down this avenue of thought where I was wondering, and I've kind of phrased something similar in the past. Why do these cards have to be tied directly to Phantasmal Flames? Like,
Mm.
why could we not release this? We've seen products, and typically they've been lower tier products, admittedly. They're like get into the game things, where the thing that comes to mind specifically was all the way back in like Diamond Pearl era. There was like a Lucario and Raichu starter deck thing where it had its own set symbol, where it was like literally a picture of a Lucario and a picture on the Lucario deck and a picture of the Raichu on the Raichu deck. But just make these their own subset of cards, release them into the wild, and have them follow standard legality rules, to where you could get like a mini infusion of things partway through. We're gonna stand to have, I think, 9 total tournaments in the Mega Evolution format, and we could have broken that up halfway by saying, "Hey, let's just change it up just a little bit and see what happens." And it would put us also more in line with what they do in Japan, I think,
Right.
where like the most recent Champions League had both of the contents of these decks legal. Now, I know that the English decks are a little bit different in composition than the Japanese ones. Like, I think that we got, I don't think Wonder Patch or Mystery Patch, whatever the psychic type patch card, I don't think that was in the Diancie deck in Japan. And I also don't think is either the Grimsley supporter or the Toxtricity line. One of those was not in the Gengar deck. And they're definitely impactful cards. Oh, Dawn is another card that is in here, which is hugely,
Mm.
probably going to be pretty hugely impactful from the Phantasmal Flame set. So for anybody that doesn't know, Dawn's a supporter, allows you to search your deck for a basic, a stage 1, and a stage 2, and put them into your hand, and fits into a lot of archetypes, really. Like you can play with something like Charizard and go find like Pheasantipity plus Dusclops plus Pidgeot, or a Noctowl based deck where you can go get insert based like Terra basic plus Noctowl plus Pidgeot and set everything up from there. And it's just a big, majorly impactful card that a lot of people are potentially having to deal with because you can't control what your random opponent on the ladder plays. But like my big question is, what would be the harm of making these cards separate from that set and making them legal sooner? You know?
Yeah, the only thing I could think of, and I'm not even saying this is a counter argument, but maybe just from a marketing perspective, it's like hyping up the release of a set to be something greater. To like, oh, this is a brand new set, so we should print these decks to give everybody like a flavor of what's in this set. But I think I'm kind of with you on the from a competitive player's perspective. It would be cool to have, like you said, a new infusion. Um, I mean, truthfully though, you'd have to like edit it a little bit because I think this would be way too much of a infusion. It would make it would make these products a lot more expensive. I think
Oh, probably.
it
Yeah.
would make them like more even more. I mean, they're already hard to get because now they've put illustration rares
Yeah.
in the products.
Yeah.
So that made it like I could find Marnie's and Stevens Metagross when those came out. I think they were still like at local stores around my area. These products I haven't seen at all.
Okay.
And I think they pushed the release. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong,
I know
but
the
like
Marnie decks got delayed by a
yeah,
couple of weeks.
I don't. Where do I go to see release dates? But I don't know
That's a good
exactly.
question.
But
I honestly don't
I
know.
was told that I think the release date got pushed on these. Like they got released on PTCG Live, but as far as getting the physical cards themselves, I
Oh,
don't even know if you can get them. Let
I've
me look
seen
that up.
pictures of them, so it may be like distributor specific. To be honest with you, I've
Yeah,
definitely seen pictures of like oh, I managed to look at this restock I hit, or I got this major haul. And the fact that a prepackaged product is considered a major haul by somebody is atrocious. But you know, that's a story for a different time or a different discussion
right.
entirely. But I can get behind, yes, the accessibility thing could definitely be an issue. And we've seen that as recently as the Psyduck promos that came out with Mega Evolution. But I do think, I don't know, there's got to be a way to resolve that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it looks like you can buy it on TCG Player. So I guess they did get released at least somewhere.
Okay.
And you can get it on TCG Player for like $40 right now. So
Which is like
that's probably
more than
close.
double MSRP. No, MSRP is like $16.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
geez.
No, they're
Well,
jacked up for
that's
sure.
sad, but not unexpected. Unfortunately,
Right.
yeah. I mean the Haunter alone. Oh, it's Japanese Haunter, but anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
No, that
Um,
like you're right. The illustration rare is the big draw for a lot of people. Like the Morpeko from the Marnie's deck is like a $30 or $40 card right now.
yeah, I guess so. It did say launch October 24th, 2025 on the Pokemon website. So, yeah. Um, if I go to buy it now, let's see, it's
But
probably sold out. But
oh, I'm sure. Yeah, anything from Pokemon.com directly is most certainly gone.
hmm,
But my thought behind this was they don't do this type of thing with every single set, right? It's at this point they've done it. They did it with Destined Rivals. Then we got Black Bolt White Flare, which was a special set. And then we got another major set with Mega Evolution, which didn't have it. And now we're going to get Phantasmal Flames, and they are going to release this. And coincidentally, it's lined up exactly with them copying over some semblance of a product that they did release in Japan, and then porting it over and releasing it here, or throughout the rest of the, I guess, Pokeverse, the rest
yeah.
of the world. What? But is there like what is the full counter argument aside from accessibility?
Well, let's talk about marketing. But because it helps with brand continuity. If you make it like this is all the same set, it's easier for collectors to like collect those specific cards from the set, instead of having to buy a product and then taking that away from competitive players. Like if you're making a product for competitive players and you make it exclusive, it's just going to be a pain to get for competitive players. This allows, at least in theory, a competitive player to pick it up. Because then collector will be like, well, I don't really need to get any. I don't need to get that product. It'll everything in that thing will be released in a future, like in the booster boxes or whatever. I'm pretty sure are the IRs exclusive to the deck? Like,
Yes, they are.
see, that rubs me the wrong way. I think that makes me more frustrated because then yeah, now it's of course a haunter. It's
Yeah,
not like a
yeah, it's a popular Pokemon for sure.
yeah.
Or
And
like
what's
the Marnie, the other. I honestly couldn't tell you what the Diancie one is. It's either a Diancie or I was just looking at it. It's either is it Diancie or Meloetta?
well,
Let me see, Mega. But the like again, that kind of circles back to accessibility, right?
sure, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and granted, that
So
problem, like the availability
that's
problem,
fair.
is something that really applies to all Pokemon products currently. And I
Sure,
just it doesn't seem to be an issue. The competitive player is still relatively easily able to gather all of the cards that they need for a given deck. Now the problem is obviously if this is literally the only way to acquire these cards
right.
and you just can't buy them anywhere, and because it's like a not limited release, but because it's not a major release, local card shops probably are not going to be ordering or acquiring mass
No,
quantities of them. So maybe
they might get like six of each.
the singles market ends up slightly diminished on it, which makes it more difficult to acquire the card. But again, circles back to accessibility. I don't know, like the cards would have to be hugely impactful, right? And I think that the things that would end up being theoretically exclusives from this would probably be like the Mega Diancie itself or the Gengar Mega Gengar line itself. Like the Pokemon, I think the trainers you're fine because half the ones in these are like Lily's and Boss, and yes, you do have Grimsley's move or Dawn's. I don't remember what the name of that card is.
Just
It
yeah, I
is.
don't know.
It might just be Dawn, honestly, but both of those could still be in the next set, but having the Pokemon and allowing them to be playable immediately, I don't know. From the competitive perspective, like you said, it just seems like a cool thing to do for players potentially.
Yeah, it's definitely an option. Yeah, and I think the accessibility factor is probably the main reason. Like making more hurdles to jump through in this day and age for the competitive player to like pick up product just doesn't sound great. But yeah, I think it's a good point to make. How do you feel about them being on PTCG Live, like before the set release? So like if they're not legal for play, does that bother you? Like if they're not legal for play in a competitive tournament, should they not be allowed to be played on TCG Live?
I
Or
mean,
I mean,
that's kind of is what it is. It's because it's random.
okay,
Not everybody is going to utilize them, so you can kind of, if you're trying specifically to practice for the current standard legal format, if it bothers you that much, just concede and queue up again,
sure.
or you
Yeah,
just
but
deal
then
with
then
it.
your ELO drops, and then you can't necessarily play against players that are a
Listen,
higher ELO.
if your Arceus number matters that much to you, like
Okay,
yes, I do get the argument where if you get up into the realm of like 1800 and you're at like 1800 1900 and you've got 15-20 minute queue times to find a game, and then you do run into a Mega Gengar deck and you're just like, dude, what the hell? Yeah, it's frustrating, but I think for the most part, the players who are like, oh yeah, I really want to play Mega Gengar. One, Mega Gengar is not that great. I played against it a few
sure,
times. It's all right, but if it was a hugely impactful card, like even when Grimmsnarl released and people were already playing Grimmsnarl Frostlass before it was standard legal, it still wasn't the end of the world. Like everybody just kind of accepted it and moved on. And
sure.
maybe it depends on what stage the format is at, but I don't know. It's not a big deal to me personally.
No, and I think my thought is, games are games. Like if you're trying to test a deck out and you're trying to, I mean, I think Dawn's more of an annoying thing because then it's just like, well, this isn't real. Like this doesn't feel like a real game sometimes. But if you're trying to test out a new archetype or new deck or just trying to get more reps in with something, like you can do that against anything, and realistically
Right.
you should feel confident about your ability to play that deck into anything. And like, I don't think any of these cards are meta warping enough to where a deck that was going to do well in the previous format, in the Mega Evolution format, is now going to like flounder in the next format. I don't see that. So I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's fair.
Diancie is kind of
Mm,
awkward. Like, it's probably the one card as far as the Pokemon are concerned that really stands out to me. The Toxtricity line has an argument for being like fringe or niche playable, but it like the Diancie and Gardevoir specifically, like it's a tool the deck obviously doesn't have, and it does impact matchups. Like, it changes a lot of them,
okay.
but I don't think that I don't know. It's not frustrating enough. And again, not every single Gardevoir deck that you run into is going to have the Diancie. It seems like most people, especially the more competitive you get into the ladder, the higher up you get, are opting instead to play standard legal decks, and it's just not that big of a deal.
Okay, that's
Truthfully,
cool. I mean, that's good that the community is basically like policing itself. It's but like that's to say, if you want to play these new cards, have at it. Like, we're not
yeah.
going to
I
try to
mean,
gatekeep
it's
that.
right. It's still a game at the end of the day. Like, don't
Yeah,
let other people define your fun. Like, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum. If you want to play Mega Gengar and your gosh, what is
yeah,
it? Like Cinderace and Grimsley, and you're like one single Tatsugiri that's in your deck as your lone basic, but you're just trying to play like a Grimsley with Hydreigon EX deck. Like, cool, go have at it. Like, that
that's
sounds like a
crazy.
great time. I have no idea if that would be any good. It's probably terrible, but at some point, I want
Hey,
to do something.
yeah,
I want to do something with that Cinderace, man. That card seems
yeah,
really cool.
it is a cool card.
But speaking of cool cards, it's not really a good segue because it has nothing to do
Nope.
with cool cards whatsoever. We're
If
gonna
Twitter was a card,
if Twitter was a card, this would be a really cool Twitter card.
there
But
you
we are
go.
going to segue now to that tweet that we've referenced a couple of times here. And this comes from, I'm going to probably butcher this, but Din Kang Pham, who is the current reigning world champion in Disney Lorcana. And it looks like he's trying to drop some information as part of a Metafy series that he'll be doing, but this he just put out as a free tweet. And this was in response. I know he was playing in a major Lorcana event this past weekend and actually lost, I think, in either top 32 or top 16 to um, a 10-year-old child because Lorcana doesn't have age division. It's just literally
Oh
everybody
wow.
plays in a giant pool together. And coincidentally, no, maybe not coincidentally, because he had another tweet where he said that this kid is probably one of the best players in the game right now.
Holy cow.
And it was like a pleasure to play against him. He actually immediately invited him to play on their competitive team as long as his parents are okay with it.
Wow.
And it was like he was an honor to lose to him essentially. And I'm like, oh, cool, that's a really good competitive attitude. But he's got a series of steps here. We're going to read through these kind of one at a time, and if if there isn't a direct correlation to Pokemon, just what the implied correlation would be. So just his first step here. And apologies if you are not watching on video. Because to try to help everybody out, I'm going to read these verbatim. So if you are on video, maybe like skip around if you feel the need to. But step one here is acknowledge that you have a lot of room to improve. The thing about misplays is one small misplay can change the entire game, match, or tournament run. Most of the time, when you hear someone or yourself complaining about dropping due to bad luck at round XYZ, you can be sure that there was a game deciding misplay in an earlier round, which led to this situation. At DLC Bologna, my third loss and drop was due to me bricking, but my first loss was on me, super avoidable. The top players test a lot, know how to test efficiently, and have years of experience. You're trying to catch up to this. Don't feel overwhelmed by this fact, but also humble yourself if you think you are, quote unquote, that good and don't perform consistently. And yeah, I mean, what does this read as to you, John?
I mean, it's so interesting because it reads to me as like the local that goes to a regional and like expects to like do really well without having put the testing in, or without like really um putting in the time and effort to prepare, and then they get there and they make misplays, but they just like, all I hear between rounds is like how unlucky they are, or how their prizes really screwed them over, or something like that. That reads to me, and then the contrast that with like when you talk to like I think Stefan put out a tweet or something like that where he's like, I made a misplay in one of my earlier rounds, and then I got put into a bracket where I had to play against a lot of control, and because of that I had a less than stellar tournament run. And like
Right.
that self-awareness, like those two contrasts, right? Like where you have the one player that has no clue as to like how they got themselves into the position that they got into, versus the pro that, or like Pokemon's equivalent of a pro, that is really self-aware and really in tune with what is going on, and can recognize that they make mistakes, that even like, I mean, I've heard plenty of players say like there's no such thing as like a perfect day of Pokemon when you're playing at a regionals level. Like you're gonna
Right.
make mistakes, you're gonna have misplays, and it's really just dependent upon, do those misplays cost you your tournament run, and sometimes they do. So that's just kind of what I
Absolutely.
got out of that.
Yep. And, there was a tweet from Alberto Conti, who, spoiler alert, if you're not aware of the Lille results, came in second place in that event, where he said he rewatched the stream game and recognized several small misplays throughout the game that eventually led to him losing.
Hmm.
So, if somebody who is a multi-time finalist and or regional winner and has been successful in, both Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon can say that he's still misplaying in a game, you can almost be sure that you certainly are as well at some point. And it takes time really to be able to recognize what those misplays are. And it feeds right into step 2 here, which is recognize your own misplays and good plays. Record your games if you can. Analyze them over and over by yourself, with friends, with teammates, or a coach. I rewatched all of my feature matches over and over so much I can quote some of the commentary. Recovering from misplays is another important skill that requires a lot of mental fortitude. Play game by game, and each game like it's game 1 of the tournament. Don't think about how many more wins you need to top. 10-2 is the bubble at the DLC, and you might not make it. Get there first before you can even worry about that. And part of this, it's so like you mentioned,
Like
recognize
two
your
parts.
misplays. Well, yeah, there are two parts here. It's like the recognize your misplays is a skill in and of itself, and but the real thing here is like um, just reviewing your own gameplay. And so, if you're playing on TCG Live, you have the ability after a game to export a full transcript of every single game action that happened in that game, and that can be a slog to get through. So, if you are capable of doing it, I would highly recommend just a simple screen recording of your gameplay, whether it's through OBS or, I think there's a Microsoft program called Clipchamp that you could utilize to do the same thing. And it sounds like a slog, but really that's what some of the best players in the game are doing to get better. They aren't simply playing the game and playing the game and, throwing the thing against the wall to see what sticks to it. That is a part of the process, but the review of, you don't recognize that you're doing something wrong until either someone tells you or you're able to actually see it yourself. And being able to go back and say, okay, I did this, and then 2 or 3 turns later, this happened. Well, let me rewind and see why I ended up in that situation to begin with. And being able to recognize where, like, which part of your decision tree led you to that final result is just as important as getting to that result the first time. And so I think being process oriented or rather than result or, you know, well, yeah, being process oriented rather than result oriented is another good way to look at this as well.
Yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, I think that's an invaluable resource now in this day and age, to where you can rewatch yourself and record yourself. And not everybody has that luxury, but most times you do. And it's painful. It's cringe as hell to watch yourself play. Like, but you really get an insight into how well you're playing the deck, or how you feel. Like, I don't know. I gained so much watching regionals, um like watching a top player play a deck efficiently and with like all the lines that they take as opposed to the ones I've been taking. And I feel
Sure.
like after you watch a regionals, you get a lot out of it, and it's even probably more insightful. I'm guilty. I don't think I've really watched myself play in a long time. um so that's probably something I need to try to do if I'm going to get back to it. But yeah, just like watching, like I said, I'm playing Zorwerk, so watching like Piper play in her top, I think, I think she was in top four. They
She
showed her
did make
top four
top four,
match.
but
I think they showed both top four matches.
they did.
So,
Yeah.
and her top four was really really good. At least the first game was.
Well,
I think
yeah.
the
For
second and third.
the first game
Yeah.
was really,
Okay, that's sorry, but the first game was like a masterclass on how to play that
yeah,
matchup, and like
absolutely.
how to do it really well. And she just like kind of dismantled it and like figured out how to like puzzle it out and execute that game plan. And so that was really cool. And like just watching that, just it's like, oh man, this made me excited to go and try the deck and yeah, all that stuff. And then the second part of this, same kind of paragraph, like taking each and every game as it comes to you. It's such a valuable lesson for any TCG. Like tilt is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
Whenever you do like bad, I mean, I remember like talking to you between rounds at Worlds or something like that, and you had to like refocus and like readjust in day 2 at that event, because you had like a rough match or something like that happen to you, and you had to like really refocus and just get back to it. Um,
And you
yeah,
don't
and
always have a lot of time to do it, right?
no,
So
and
like one of the
you
I've
almost
heard.
have to do it on the fly as you're like shuffling up for the next game. You
Mhm,
have to really just be like, okay, I made some mistakes. I lost that game where I tied, where I should have won,
mhm.
but that's in the past. This is now. I have to like just kind of take a breath, and then just move on. And it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to like feel your feelings between rounds, but being able to compartmentalize that and say, all right, well, I'm going to take a mental note of that or write it down real quick, and then immediately go into the next round and just say, all right, like, what's the matchup? What's my opponent's playing? Figuring that out really fast. What's in their list? What could they possibly be playing? Like, has anybody seen what deck they're playing? Like doing the scouting, getting ready for the next match, all that kind of stuff. Like it, it's so key. Like whenever you come into the match less mentally prepared than your opponent, it starts turn 1. Like what you put on your bench, what you get rid of with Ultra Ball, all those kind of
Mhm.
decisions are so key and so punishing that if you make that, like if you're still thinking about the match before, it just becomes really hard to have an edge or have any kind of consistent high level gameplay. And then it just kind of compounds, right? As you think about the match before, you start making mistakes in this match, and then okay, now oh geez, I'm tilting. Like this is now falling apart. It's exponentially getting worse. Like
Yep.
mistakes are piling up, kind of thing.
And I think another thing that kind of plays into that, I would encourage everybody, if you're going to go to a major, to have either a pre or post game like ritual, in the sense that you want to do the same thing every single time. And so what it does is it allows you the opportunity. It's almost like meditating, really, where
Mm,
it allows you to kind of focus yourself, center yourself, where this is a familiar process. This gets me into the zone, and that's going to look different for different people because everybody processes things in slightly different ways. Like at Worlds, I would, for the most part, not talk to anybody for, I don't know, 5 minutes before I assumed that the pairings were going to go up. And I would just like walk out into the hallway, put my headphones on like noise canceling mode, and listened to, oh my gosh, what song was it? I literally listened to the same song before every single round of Swiss at Worlds. And that was just, I don't know how I arrived at that for that tournament specifically, but just having something where, yes, it definitely is important. Like obviously if you have friends at the tournament, I would not say totally avoid them, but if that is the thing that is actually going to make you play better, like it might not be great for your relationship with your friends, but sometimes you got to lock in, and that's what
sure.
whatever allows you to achieve that like flow state, or just the calmest mental state that you have available to you, because when you're sharper, you're going to make better decisions for sure.
For sure. You want
Step
me to read the
three.
next one?
Yeah, go for it.
Accept step 3. Accept that we are playing TCG. Luck plays a huge factor, but luck favors the prepared. In quotes, we have uh, what is it? 3-time double major winners now for Lorcana. A ton of multiple DLC top cut players, and consistency exists. And the same thing goes with the Pokemon trading card game.
Hmm.
Um, I always think it's funny when players come to me and it's like, "Oh man, I had this, and this prize, and like I couldn't win the game." And it's like, well, but you should make your deck to where that's not like if you have, I don't know, like I don't obviously say this to players. Like in the moment, it's not always helpful to say like, well, you prize 6 prizes every game, get
Yeah.
good, like. But essentially, like it's kind of that accept that there's luck in the game, and accept that like everybody's playing with that. Like good luck and bad luck. Good luck. Well, you'll definitely need good luck to like win events, but
Right.
you'll need less good luck the better you are at the TCG. When you're able to like work your way out of a bad situation or capitalize on your opponent's bad luck by not playing into their routes, or any of those factors. And then, just coming to terms with it, like it says here, that you're just going to have unlucky days, but you're also going to have days where, like, you're just playing and you do well. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't feel like luck was the sole determining factor in your tournament run. If that's the case, then you probably are either misplaying a lot or like putting yourself in a situation where that's the case, because a lot of players, like, we still have and I mean, look at Abonomed, look at like the players that continuously top cut events in Pokemon, like they have put themselves in those situations not because they're luckier than everybody else. They've done it because they can recognize the situations where their opponent misplays and capitalized on that, or they misplay less, or stuff like that. So it's just, yeah. I think this is such a valid point. It kind of goes back to like the player that might play at a couple regionals a year and wonder why they never make day two or top cut or anything like that, and then not really take into consideration that they're um, not capitalizing on different facets that other players are.
Yeah, and but at the end of the day, there is some level, because when you draw the top card of your deck, unless you are playing Cypher Maniac's Code Breaking or Academy at Night, it is a random card. So, the randomness implies that there's some amount of luck as to what your starting 7 cards are, what 6 cards do end up in your prize cards, and those things are in a lot of ways beyond your control. Like John said, you have the semblance of control in that you can try to construct your deck in such a way where you aren't as impacted by things ending up in your prize cards. But over the course of your entire tournament, you're going to play dozens of games of Pokemon, hopefully. At some point, you'll have bad prize cards. And you don't see, obviously it can be super impactful. You can look at Piper Lepine's World's top 8 game, I believe, maybe top
Yeah,
16,
that sounds
where
right.
she prized 3 Gimme Ghoul. But that happened once that tournament. I guarantee you it did not happen again, or Piper would not have made top cut, because that is a luck factor that was fully beyond her control. There's nothing you can do about that. And then the final step here is don't let your fun be determined by your performance. If you're not the type of person to super try hard a game, then just don't. Don't force yourself to be someone you can't be right now. If you don't have time, so be it. Acknowledge that you can only do so much. It's super draining and you spiral downward mentally if you try hard when your environment cannot support it currently. Focus on having fun while doing your best. So, obviously, if you're only going to 2 regionals a year, we'll use the hypothetical player from John's scenario before. You're only going to 2 regionals a year. You don't really keep up with the metagame, and suddenly you decide 2 days before the event, I'm going to no life the game and play the next 48 hours straight. Your performance is probably not going to be that great because you're going to be physically exhausted. Maybe you switch decks at the last minute and you're trying to grind something out and you haven't been keeping up with what's doing well, so you don't understand why some of the decisions in deck building are being made by the list you just picked up. It's just not going to work. So a lot of players, there's a really good example. I cannot remember what this player's name is, who fairly recently has been playing the non-EX Okidogi as their like main deck to regional. And this player notably has stated they're not trying to win the event. They just found their favorite card and are trying to see how far they can push it in a given format and are slowly trying to iterate on it and improve it. So that player is not saying, "Oh, I'm not playing Gardevoir or Dragapult, so I must be bad." It's like, no, it's still a game at the end of the day. So if you find fun through an alternate game plan, that's totally fine. You also need to understand that if you aren't playing something like Gardevoir, Dragapult, Charizard, one of the top tier meta decks, then more than likely you aren't going to win the event. But you also need to be willing to accept that as your outcome, and that it's totally fair and fine to be okay going into an event and not winning it. Because obviously, at the end of the day, we've got these tournaments that have thousands of players entering them now, and only one person can walk away the final total winner. And even then, even if you expand that out to top 32 and getting cash from an event, that's still less than 1% of the total number of players that entered that event.
Yeah, and this is such a valuable lesson. Um, I've seen so many people rage and like drop out of the TCG or like complain about the format or anything like that. And some of those complaints are valid, but most of the time it's because they're in a rut or they're frustrated with how they're performing because they feel like they have a higher expectation for themselves. I'm guilty of this too. I've definitely like put myself in that situation where um I start raging about, oh, I just don't like playing anything right now and I don't want to play Pokemon at all. And I just have to like say it's okay to take a break. Like it's okay to like say, all right, well, I don't have to play Pokemon when I'm angry. Like that's perfectly fine. That's a reasonable expectation to have. So when you're testing, you're just like, oh, I'm not going to play test angry. It's just not helpful sometimes because you're not thinking clearly. You're not really taking away lessons that you need to learn. That kind of stuff. And one other thing I wanted to point it out. I've judged a lot of tournaments, and I judge all over all different facets of like I judge all tables, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
at the bottom tables of regionals and I'm at the top tables of regionals. You know where the most miserable tables are a lot of the times, Aaron?
in the middle.
Right in the middle, where the players are frustrated with their performance or just trying to make it to that second phase of the tournament. And I get it. Like, the people that are having a great day are having a great day because of, you know, all the prep they put in and like now it's all paying off and it's great.
Sure.
But the people that are almost
That
honestly sometimes the more happier than the players that are making phase 2 of the tournament are the players at the bottom tables
that
that
dude
are
that's 06 is having a
yes.
great day.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
And it makes me happy as a judge, but it's just like also just such a valuable thing to like take away as a player. It's just like, oh yeah, this game is fun. I'm really
Yeah.
having a fun time playing. And like that's huge. Like it's so cliche, it's so like trite at this point, but having fun is key to doing well as well. I've seen, I've judged on stream a couple times, and I've seen a number of players that are like big players that have really a lot of tournament results, and a lot of those players, some of them are locked in and focused, sure, but some of them like just really are up there having a great time and having just fun with their opponent, like getting to know them, chatting between the games for sure, um, and chatting backstage and getting to know everybody involved, and just really are appreciating the moment, and that's
Yeah.
that's such a huge thing,
Right.
and you know don't your life, it's not life or death, and it should never feel that way. Obviously there's a lot of high stakes emotions and pressure you put on yourself to do well, and I'm speaking from experience. Like I always do that too. Like I only get to play in a couple tournaments a year at this point, and I always like if I bomb out of a league challenge, it stings, and it shouldn't because it's whatever. But I still put so much pressure on myself, so I get it. Like there's that temptation to do that, but like if you're not having fun, don't play. Like it's not worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it but I think part of this circles back to recognizing what you want to get out of the game.
Sure.
Like if you really do think that you want to be that top 1% player, you need to be able and willing to put in that top 1% effort, like the time and effort required to achieve that. And I'm going to tell you that, playing a half hour a day on TCG Live is not going to get you there. Like you've got to sit down and it's going to take hours of work. You can shortcut the process slightly, especially if you have a solid friend group that's involved and helping you with this testing, or being able to queue up games for you, provide you with other data, other input, maybe giving you other ideas or pointing out misplays in your games if you do have video footage of them. And but it's just, you don't have to be, and a lot of people like the Pokemon community, and I think this applies to a lot of other things as well, especially just anything competitive, but people are very much so results oriented. But like you said
Hmm.
before, the people at the bottom tables, like somebody who puts together like their Durant EX Sylveon Strange Timepiece combo deck, where they're like, I'm gonna mill 30 cards with my Durant deck in one turn, and seeing how many times they can pull that combo off in the tournament, and that's their goal for the day. Like they're not trying to win the event, but they just want to mill as much as possible and have a great
Oh,
time
they're
doing
having a
it.
blast.
That dude's having a blast because he's like, I used Devout, or what, I don't actually know what Durant's ability is called, but I used Durant's ability 337 times today. And you're just like, oh, you've got some energy that I can't compete with right now.
Yeah, it's so great. And I mean, they probably have like a Durant plush and like have the
Yeah,
Durant sleeves and like
yeah,
are going for it, man. And
for sure.
you walk by that table and their opponent's having just as much fun as they're having, and it's infectious. Like the whole group around there kind of rallies around that guy and like wants him to either like they'll count like, oh, how many did he get this turn, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
And
it's a blast.
it gets hard when you get up to the higher tables where everybody, the people who are super locked in, it becomes more of a numbers game and it's less about the game itself. And everybody's trying to maximize their odds and trying to be like, okay, well, how many
Yeah,
cards are in your discard pile? Like that means that you have this percentage odds. You have this many cards in your hand. I need to play this supporter this turn. And it's just a very different energy. And it's hard to get away from that when you are striving to win the event. But you also need to recognize at the end of the day, like we mentioned in step 3, there's a luck factor. And
mm-hmm.
also at the end of the day here, only less than 1% of the people that walk away from this event are going to walk away in the green. Everyone else paid $70 to hopefully have a good time. And yes, being in top 64 kind of really sucks, especially if you lost that last round and you end up, dropping out of the cash for the event. But that means that you probably made a misplay along the way. You can try, if at all possible, to think back on your games, review them mentally, or if you were able to take notes during the game, review your notes, see where you messed up, improve for next time, and try to hit it again. And yes, those opportunities are few and far between if you're less involved in the game. Like I know I'm probably only playing in 2 or 3 major events this season, tops. Um, so it's going to be really difficult for me to not put that amount of pressure on myself. But I also recognize I'm not going for a Worlds invite this year. So I'm just going to probably try to do the best that I can at those individual events. And if I really want to do that well, I need to be willing to put in at least the matching amount of effort that I did for NAIC and Worlds last year, which was hours and hours of preparation for both of those events
Yeah,
and
yeah,
discussions with multiple people. So if you can't do that, do not expect yourself to go super deep in the tournament, and just have realistic goals, right? Like if you know you can only play after your 9 to 5 job and you've got kids and a family, recognize making day 2 is an accomplishment.
for sure.
Recognize that making it into top 128 it is an accomplishment after, if you are a consistent. I day 2 a lot. Top 128 is still, well, depending on the size of the event, but it's still a high percentage finish. Like it's you're doing well, and so just continuing to strive to do better is probably what you should aim to do, rather than saying I have to be number one, because only one
Yeah,
person can be number one. But this is
yeah,
really cool. Like it's something like we don't get things like this to talk about all that often, but these are definitely good lessons that can be applied to all card games and a lot of competitive endeavors in life.
yeah. And I just wanted to touch on something real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm uh I'm doing like a professor seminar topic for uh Sycamore Symposium, which is like the local professor seminars.
Okay.
And I'm taking a lot of these kind of thoughts and like stuff I've learned playing the game and like applying it to judging. And you can do a lot the same when you're judging too. We just talked a lot about how you should approach the game as a player. I think a lot of that kind of holds true to approaching an event or a tournament experience as a judge. And like a lot of the same things about like being performance based versus growth mindset or continual improvement based. Like,
Yeah.
when your goal for the tournament is like, staff worlds, like, well, that's a cool goal, but like it's not easy to just say, okay, hey, you're staffing worlds now. It's like, well, how do you get to that point? What different steps can you take along the way to get you better and closer to that goal?
Right.
Like, more actionable items are really cool. And same kind of things that goes from playing, and then like a lot of the mindset of like, um taking each round as it comes and all that kind of stuff, it carries over to judging too. And quality judging is something that I think is really important, especially as these tournaments get bigger and as the players become more, if you want to call it professional, or doing this for a profession, like doing this as a job.
Mm.
If we're no longer in the phase of volunteers helping out, now professors are kind of expected to be at that level of like you're doing this as a job. You need to take that you need to take that seriously. You need to, put in the effort beforehand, be present and focused at the moment, and then execute whenever you're called to do something and stuff like that. Um, so that, I mean, not to like, I mean, I just wanted to talk about it real quick. I don't want to give my whole professor seminar right now. Maybe another episode we'll talk a little bit more about it, but just saying that a lot of these points hold true for judges and for other components of like other areas of
Absolutely.
your life too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Professionally, financially, any of that kind of stuff. I guess
Although
it works the same
realistically,
way.
when you're at work, I would say at your job there's less luck involved, but you do
I'd
need
hope
to
so.
lock in. You do, yeah. If
Yeah,
your job is all luck, I would suggest finding another job unless you're
yeah,
really into it. Don't let me mess with your fun.
yeah.
But
Professional gambler or something like
for
that.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, so before we get into the little results, we are going to do one more show-based segment, and I'm going to ask John some questions here in Blaine's quiz show, where he is currently leading 10-6. Unfortunately.
Let's go.
So, for anybody who's unfamiliar, Blaine's Quiz Show is a weekly segment we have on the show, and John will be answering a series of 3 multiple choice questions from me. Each correct answer will award him with 1 point. He has 1 hint available that can be used on any of the 3 questions. But if he's able to answer all 3 questions without utilizing the hint, then he'll earn himself a bonus point. So, a maximum of 4 points available this week. My goal is to have John get 0 so I can hopefully
Oh
catch up,
man.
but we'll see how he fares. And I thought, we didn't have a better fitting topic for this week, given that Halloween is on Friday, than spooky Pokemon.
Okay.
You ready for question 1, John?
Let's go.
With the release of Mega Gengar EX, how many unique English language Gengar cards are there? And by unique, I mean text based. So variants of the same card, just different artworks, do not count. These are all fully unique cards. You could only include 4 copies of them on a deck list. Your choices are 28, 32, 37, or 38.
I remember watching a video recently
There
where
is no way.
no, I'm not gonna just spike it like that. There's no way I could do that. I'm just trying to think back. The video, I mean, this is gonna be tricky because are you talking about, okay, unique English Gengars they're not like different, like the Pokeween packs or something like that, where they have a different stamp,
Right,
or
right.
like the League
No,
promo.
no.
Okay.
No, art variants are
Oh,
not included
not
in
just,
this.
yeah, hollow reverse. Okay, so this is tough. Trying to remember. It's got to be in the 30s. I don't think it's 28. I think it's like well over 30 at this point. I mean, we've had 25 years of coming up on 30 years of Pokemon at this point.
And Gengar's a popular Pokemon.
Oh, for sure. And we have a lot of Mega Gengars, Gengar EXs, Gengar V Max, all that stuff. As far as unique cards, that might limit it a little bit. I'm going to go with 32. I think that might just be right over 30. This is just tough. I'm kind of just guessing at this one, if I'm honest. So I'll just go 32, and we'll see if we can save the hint for another like easier question I can get.
Well, John, I'm going to need to link me to whatever YouTube video you watched because you are correct. It is in fact 32, and I'm convinced that you have insider knowledge
Oh
and
my
or are
gosh,
cheating
let's go.
because that is absolutely absurd. Because yes, this includes the multiple Dark Gengars, Gengar EX, Mega Gengar EX, the V Max, no V Star, the GX like the tag team card,
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina's Gengar, all of them.
Okay.
But yes,
Sabrina's
32
Gengar.
total.
Oh, old one.
There are
Yep.
actually 2 different Sabrina's Gengars.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
I thought about just asking how many unique Gengar cards there are in total, but I wasn't sure if that was fully fair. Like there are some like vending sheet
Oh yeah,
promos and
if we're going with
versus
Japanese, it's going to be really,
series cards, and it gets a little out there.
yeah.
And then also having to
And
parse
there's a
through.
Chinese exclusive one I saw today.
Oh,
That
see, I wouldn't have even known about it.
yeah,
I don't think it was included in my source. But
that's
fine,
fair.
you'll get your point. We'll move to question 2. Which generation of Pokemon games does not have a ghost type gym leader? 3, 4, 8 or 9?
Okay. So, what is Gen 9? I played Scarlet and Violet. I think there's one in Gen 9. Dude, yeah, this is tough. I want to say it's like an earlier gen, like 3 or 4 in 8 or 9, but I'm not all that sure. Oh yeah. There is a ghost type one. She's like the sister of the ice type one, Rhyme and Grime or whatever. I think she's ghost type. Yeah.
Did
So
you say
it's not
rhyme
Gen.
and grime?
I don't remember the names, dude. They're all like the sisters. You know what I'm talking about. So it's fine. Uh, Gen 8, I didn't play at all. But I did play the TCG. I'm sure I remember if there's any cards that came out that I think there was like the lady. There was like a ghost type one. I think in Gen 8. Um, Gen 3 is Diamond and Pearl, right? Or Ruby and Sapphire. No, I'm bad. Gen 5 is Black and White. So before Black and White, Diamond and Pearl. So that's Gen 4. Gen 3 is Ruby Sapphire. Okay. See, I didn't play either of those. I think it's 3 or 4. I'm going to use my hand. I think I've got it down to those two. I think I can get it from there.
Okay.
Unless you just go like, it's not 8 or 9. Don't do that,
Well,
Aaron.
unfortunately, I have pre-prepared hints for all 3 questions
Oh,
when I go into
okay.
this every week, and my hint for this question was that it is either 3 or 4.
Bro, okay. Cool. So helpful. What a
I'm
waste.
sorry. That's how it
Yeah.
rolls.
Listeners, don't be fooled. He didn't have pre-prepared hints.
When I prepare my questions,
this is all elaborate ruse.
prepare a specific hint for every
Uh-huh.
single question.
Wow. Well, you're better prepared than me because I don't do that. But I should have waited and not mused aloud. All right. Well, at this point, I'm just doing a 50-50 anyway. So, let's just go Gen 3. I think. I don't know if Aaron wants to have question B in the B slot be the answer 2 times in a row. So we'll do 3. Lock that in. That's my logic.
I honestly would not have considered that, but it is in fact 3.
Ha!
So every single generation of Pokemon games has a notable ghost type trainer, but for Gen 3, it is an Elite Four member, not a gym leader.
Who is it in Gen 3 off the top of the head? Do you know?
It's Phoebe.
Phoebe. Yep.
So if you go back to the EX era, there's a Phoebe Stadium. Her notable Pokemon was Dusclops.
Yeah, she's in Scarlet and Violet too. Is like a
Is
card. Yeah, there's a Phoebe.
Oh
in
no
Scarlet and Violet.
well no, is there? I know that there was one in the like Sword and Shield era because like it was
Oh,
notable
that's
that
what I meant. Sword and Shield. Sorry.
Azul played it so he could like win the Pikachu
Yeah,
VMAX mirror or
the
something.
one that goes it gives shred for VMAXs or something.
Yeah. Okay, I was gonna say I didn't think there's a Scarlet Violet one.
No, you're right. You're right. It's I meant Sword and Shield. I always get them like mixed up in my head, but you're good.
So just like TCGs, luck is clearly a factor in Blaine's quiz show.
Oh, for sure.
And we will close out with question 3, and I want you to match the flavor text here, John. If it finds bad children who won't listen to their parents, it will spirit them away, or so it's said. And your choices are Shuppet, Drifloon, Duskull, and Litwick.
Oh, this is an easy one for me. Drifloon, it locked that in. Like the classic, Drifloon's floating kids away into the spirit void, all that stuff. I'm going to lock in Drifloon.
Drifloon, final answer.
Yes.
Drifloon was the perfect red herring because that is
Duskull. No! What? Unreal.
Yeah.
All right. My overconfidence got the better of me.
This is notably the Duskull that was part of the debate last year with which Duskull is the better one to play once Shrouded Fable came out. So this is the Perplex Duskull from, I think, Crown Zenith? Or it had a Galarian Gallery printing in Crown Zenith. I don't know what the original printing was.
Sure.
But I was like, this is trippy enough. It was funny. I spent a solid 10 minutes on PKMN cards looking at ghost type Pokemon flavor texts, trying to find one that I felt wasn't too obvious. And originally, I wanted to do something like Trevenant or Phantom or something, but almost all of their flavor text directly reference themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
they're also blatantly obvious, like, hey, this Pokemon is a tree. And I'm like, well, that
Yeah.
doesn't really work. Or some of the other ones,
You
like,
got me with this one. I'm not going to even pretend. I was way confident. And yeah, I should have known you're smarter than that. So that's on
Drifloon
me.
is known for stealing children.
He is.
Everybody knows that. And then it's something about it showing up on Fridays, I think.
Oh, I didn't know
Or I
that.
remember that was back in Diamond Pearl. So if you didn't play those games, Drifloon only shows up at the windmill or the power plant or whatever building it is. It only shows up on Friday.
Oh, okay.
So
Didn't
more
know that.
knowledge for you. Not a quiz question, but maybe next time. So
Yeah,
thanks for
maybe
playing,
next
John. You did get 2 points this week, so now you have double my score, and I will
time.
have to hopefully claw my way back into my measly, probably 1 point next week. Okay, so John and I are back from a break now, and we're about ready to get into some Lille results here.
Just a little results. That's fun.
Yeah, I used that. I've seen a couple of other shows have used
Yeah, yeah.
similar titles, and I used that last year. And I'm like, I can't do it again.
Nah, we can
I
only
don't.
get away with so many puns in a month. I feel like.
I just mean during the show's life cycle. I don't know. I'd have to wait. We'd have to be doing this for a long time before I can come back around and use Lil as a pun in a show title again.
That's
Or I
fair.
just make it a gimmick and do it literally every year.
Oh yeah, that's probably
That is definitely an
yeah,
option too.
sure.
But yeah, so we definitely we had some predictions going into this. So why don't we run those down before we get into the specifics of the tournament?
All right, that's fair. That's fair. Just as a recap for all the people that don't listen every week, we should, but I'll read them anyway. We had some predictions. First one was how many, if any, Absol box make top cut. Aaron guessed two. I guessed one. Neither one of us was correct, as even though this was historic top 16 top cut, we had zero Absol box at all. So after a dominant
Zero.
performance in Brazil and in the US last week, in France, I guess the deck just doesn't translate very well, pun intended. And so there was a lacking presence, or the lacking presence of the deck. I think my takeaway is to like why this is, because it was still played a decent amount, right? We didn't go over the meta
Sure.
percentage yet, but
No,
it was
no, it was still
over.
played pretty well.
Yeah, it's right at, let's see.
Yeah, just outside of like the best of the like it's the
Hmm.
number one on the best of the rest graphic overall.
So like five, almost 5.5%.
Mm-hmm.
But it just, even though it was like the top deck, secret deck, or whatever the week before, people were ready. People had their cornerstone counters prepared. They had a game plan for this deck, and so that kind of makes sense. Maybe we were a little too bullish saying that there would be this many in top cut. I think one might not have been unreasonable to ask, but what was the highest placing mega Absol box if we have the page open? You
Let's
can
go
go
look.
click on the deck list.
Oh, that's a good point. That is a much better way to navigate this
Yeah,
website.
that's the
Top 32.
27th.
Yeah,
So
Benji Fam.
right on that win and end bubble, yeah, James Cox and Benjamin Pham, both great players, especially James Cox. It's funny he's now considered Norwegian on limit. Oh, he's been like that for a minute, right?
That's not Norwegian, but sure.
It's what is that?
Netherlands. That's
Netherlands?
Dutch.
Oh, Dutch. I don't know. I end country. Terrible. I'm so sorry to all of
Typical
our
American
Norwegian,
education
yeah, or
system.
all of our Norwegian and Dutch. Yeah, I saw. I don't know why I did that. I know what the Dutch flag, like the Netherlands, looks like. That's silly. Anyway,
And but
he's
if we do
formerly.
look at this list, notably,
I'm
like
rambling.
Benji's list took a step away from. So one of the reasons I think the deck was less successful overall is people were, like you said, were ready for Cornerstone. They were ready for the deck in general. There was a lot more teching against the deck, like more jamming towers, things like that. And so Benji took things a little bit of a different way. There is no Cornerstone in the deck. We said, forget it. We're just going to focus on the big mega Pokemon and approach things that way. And add other tech cards for matchups. Like I don't want to beat Goldengo by using Cornerstone because the Goldengo players have figured out how to beat Cornerstone now. So it took, I'm going to take the next step in that process, and I'm going to beat you even though you have your Cornerstone answer by taking all of your superior energy retrievals out of your hand early. and by playing 2 copies of Eerie. I'm going to win the Mirror by playing Enhanced Hammer. I'm going to beat Dragapult by removing their Neo Upper Energy and KOing their active Dragapult. I've got Zerosic for other matchups because Zerosic plus Mega Absol is disgustingly good. And, top 32 is still not bad. I think the deck has legs. I do think people were better prepared for it. So maybe it's not the tier S deck that it almost looked like it was coming out of Milwaukee. But I think it'll still be a meta contender moving forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't write it off anything like that. I think winning or losing, like potentially you're winning in to make top cut. They had 2 in the top 32 or whatever. That's pretty fair. It looks like he tied
I
a
mean,
lot.
he had
It's
5
crazy.
ties, yeah.
That's
although
yeah.
Tying against Mega Venusaur, I think, is an accomplishment because supposedly this
True.
is like an unwinnable matchup.
Yeah. Oh, I guess you run the Absol to where you could take a knockout on them with that.
Yeah, but then Absol's weak to grass.
Yeah, that's true. Fair. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty impressive. So good for him. But yeah, definitely. It's still a cool deck, and I still think it's successful in a lot of ways. Yeah. So.
And the question is, would we have seen one in Top Cut? Tord didn't end up going to the tournament, fell ill leading up to it. Would he have played Absol again? And would he have made Top Cut? And I think my answer to both of those is yes. So we still would not have been correct, or I wouldn't have been correct. Like with 2 is the pick, but would have been closer. That's for sure.
Sure. So the next prediction we had was, will an aggro deck be the largest meta share on the stream graphic? You can go scroll down to the stream graphic, I guess. Never mind.
I'm on
have
Labs,
it on there.
Yeah, I'm on Labs, so I don't have it. It's on regular Limitless.
All right.
Let me see if I can get over there. Nope, not an image. I want to. Oh, this still takes me to Labs.
Man, we love Labs, so I get it.
I just like being able to
throw you the wrench.
I don't know. I feel like you can. No, you're good. I just feel like you can navigate things more quickly on Labs than anything. I also feel like I typically get fewer ads on that version of Limitless. So I mean, I know Robin's got to support himself, but okay. So phase 1 here.
Looking at phase 1. Sorry. Looking at phase 1, we see that there's a new top contender in Dragon Ball. Or not Dragon Ball. Looking at phase 1, we see Gardevoir EX now as the dominant deck on top. And that's not factoring in the Jellicent variant, but even if we do combine meta shares, it is right there at the top still. So with the 2 decks combined, it's still up there. Raging Bolt's fallen way down to 4%, but replacing that is Ceruledge is getting more play. That's kind of the new, like, hey, it's my first regional. What should I play? Ceruledge is kind of that, like, I'd say the go-to deck for a lot of first timers.
Sure.
And Golden Ghost still gets a lot of love too. So they're still there. But we both said yes, that we thought that the Beat Stick, go fast deck would be the kind of top deck in this format. And I think a lot of players, I mean, Gardevoir's finally seeing its time. And it's so funny that, this was the tournament with which it was played in the highest percentage, because there really wasn't a lot. If we're going to go look at the final results, there wasn't a lot to show for it. I mean, other than, I think we had 1 or 2 in top 16. What was it?
None.
Yeah.
No, 1. I'm sorry. There's one Jelly card in top 16.
No, 2. You had Kim Pobega too.
Oh, 2. Okay, there you go.
So,
and there were several in top 32. Several in top 32, but
a little less than you would have thought, considering it's like 18% combined for the 2 meta share.
Yeah, for sure.
So
no Beat Sticks up top. It's weird. It's really weird to me because I guess the Ceruledge hype had just died down. Like, people were really big on it going into the first week of tournaments, and then it kind of flopped. The unfortunate DQ situation that happened in Milwaukee, where it would have been in top cut, that aside, probably took some hope away from some people who thought that they were going to play it going in. and felt like they had enough time to pivot away from it to play something else. And also, if they really didn't feel comfortable with their backup deck, they could always pivot back because Cerulege doesn't take that much brain power to pilot super effectively. It's kind
Sure.
of the throw your energy in the discard pile and go burr.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, like you said, it's my first regional. Throw me a deck, and you can be generally be successful with. But the problem is because of that, your game plan is fairly linear. It tries to take advantage of a lot of game states by using Briar to leverage, awkward prize mapping, and the big problem there is when you have Dragapult and Gardevoir or even Charizard because it plays Dust Noir, like decks that can play around your Briar make it really difficult to pull that off effectively, consistently enough for it to really work out. And that's probably why we aren't seeing it be more popular.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was kind of like a hype deck for a little bit, but after the first few tournaments where it didn't do particularly well, and again here we don't see it having any real deep runs. I think people kind
No.
of saw the writing on the wall, and said, "Yeah, maybe this isn't the best deck in format." Yeah, I mean, one in top 64, and then another one in top 128 out of quite a
Yeah.
few played, 149 played. So not a great showing for the deck, but I mean it's still solid. But it's still is it? Do you think it's still the best beat deck? Like if you're trying to a new player into the game, would you give him that or would you give him Golden Go at this point?
I think I don't know, man. I don't like either of these decks, so I am not the
Okay.
right person to ask. And really, especially since the most popular variants of both of these decks are insert stage one and insert Lunatone and Soul Rock. Like you're basically playing this, you're almost playing the same deck at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I feel like Cerulege is Goldango with less steps for the most part. So I'm really surprised that it isn't more popular than Goldango is. But you also have a lot of people have been playing Goldango for longer in different ways, shapes, and forms. So maybe they're just sticking with it out of comfort. Neither of them are performing exceptionally well. So I mean, if you just want to go off of numbers, technically Goldango is performing a little bit better,
Yeah,
or
I
at
mean they
least
still had
overall.
Golden Go
Maybe
and Cut.
I was gonna say maybe a
So
day two it's a little different. Oh no, it's even worse. Yeah, Cerulege is not a day two deck.
no.
I mean, once you get here, everybody knows how to play around your game plan, and I guess at least theoretically, Goldango can go over the top of things a little bit better.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I think the era of beat stick go fast decks is definitely not upon us.
No,
If these results are anything to go by. So next question was over or under 2.5 Psyduck and Top Cut. Aaron, you said under, and I also said under. And we both were correct when only one Psyduck shut up, even though we had a record number of players in this asymmetrical Top Cut, had a bubble even.
yeah,
We
that
only
that's
had
so weird to me. Like I
it's
don't think
definitely it's the first time we've ever had a bubble with asym.
right. So
That's for
they
sure.
made the change this year to shrink from ASIM being 32 down to 16 as the max number that it could be. But
Mm-hmm.
even last year, I don't think we have a single tournament that went over 16 people and cut.
We did not.
No. So that just has to be one of those freak circumstances of like being at a certain player threshold combined with very specific match results being required to achieve this.
Yeah,
And I don't know.
yeah. I mean,
I would not expect to see this be a common occurrence moving forward.
no, I think 31 is a little lower than you would have thought. I think looking at it, it was like 32 was the projected
Okay.
points needed to make Top Cut. So it just worked out that there was a lot of ties going into the last round. And then weirdly enough, nobody tied. Uh, like no natural ties occurred uh, at all. So all the people that could make Top Cut just did. Weirdly enough, like one winner was determined for all that stuff. So just a kind of a fluky one
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Because if you have what, one, two, three, four, five, like seven people with 31, you would have expected out of seven games, it
well,
wouldn't be unreasonable for one of them to tie instead of win. Because
yeah, I
these
don't know.
people did
I'd
not,
have to
I
go
don't
back to
think,
like you'd have to go back to the previous round, like the round before Top Cut, because the match points get changed once they start doing
Well, all of these
like
people
once they
lost
play
in
each
cut.
other. Sure.
Oh, you're right. Somebody
Some of
up
them
here,
went on to win. Yeah,
yeah, like Henry Brand was X2-1, I believe, going into cut as well. So you're totally right. We'd have to double check it and look
but
at
it
it
was
a
a
little bit
lot.
differently.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just odd.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels okay though. I feel like that's pretty rare and not enough to like really want to just change the whole system again. If I'm
No,
honest.
no. On if anything, I think the extra Swiss round is better than extra cut round if you can only have one or the other all
Right.
day.
Yeah. Stinks for Drew, but
Yeah,
I'm sure.
especially
Yeah.
because he was on stream for the last round of the event and
Oh, true.
he won his stream game, and then had a whole interview backstage about how excited he was to make cut, and then
That's
didn't
gross.
make cut.
That's such a
That's
bummer.
that has got to feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, he should like at least get prizing for top 16 at that point in my mind. If
No,
you're
I mean
this,
that is what it is.
I
Like
don't know.
you followed like the golf purse logic. Like
Yeah,
everybody that has the same match
yeah,
point
same match point.
threshold. I think that's a slippery slope
I mean,
because like
maybe.
if you
Yeah,
apply that same logic, so like if we come down to 32 and you say up 29, that extends down to now 36 and everybody has to split and they're like,
35.
yeah, so I mean
Yeah,
it is
I
only a
guess you're
few
right.
it's only a
You
few
got to
extra
draw the line
people,
somewhere.
but and then you're having to give people payouts and like weird amounts of money and having to explain to people
Sure,
how the splitting occurs, and it's just
sure.
a whole bag of worms. You just say like we've had bubbles for years. I think people got a little spoiled not having bubbles last year in the same way,
True.
and now
Yeah,
they're back or potentially back again. Like this, I think it's a fluke. I don't think we're going to see it happen again all season.
I'd agree with that. All right. So the next one we had was will Charizard make top cut? I think this was an easy one, easy yes for both of us, and thankfully Hermione helped us out,
Yeah,
saying, yeah, I got you guys, and played his Charizard Pidgeot deck to a top 8 finish. So good for Hermione. I think he's been on the deck for a minute, if I'm correct, right?
I'm pretty sure. Pretty
Yeah,
sure. A lot of these Scandinavian players really like Charizard.
yeah, the Finns. But this seems like a normal. I mean, he's running the new tech with Klefki to be able to utilize his 2/1/1 Dusknoir line.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Took a
I'm
page out
not
of
seeing
Oyvind's
anything.
book with the Mesagoza as the stadium
Oh,
of
two
choice.
Mesagosa is crazy. Oh my gosh. I mean, I guess if you're gonna run a stadium, that one helps more than other ones. I guess over Artisan is interesting. I don't know.
Listen,
I get. I
Mesa
guess you
goes
just want
ahead.
your
Says
stage
Mesa
ones
goes
and
ahead.
stage twos.
Lets you get your Pidgeot out. I think the
Sure.
Mew is a pretty interesting card in this deck too.
Oh,
Honestly,
that's fair. I haven't seen
you
Mew
don't really
in
see that
this.
super commonly.
Yeah, it
Uh,
helps as you can charge it up and attack with it with Charizard's.
mhm.
Infernal Rain. You can put it on Mew and then swing and kind of. Mew's so good into Mega Pokemon. Truthfully,
Yeah, absolutely.
like, yeah, you can really cheese them effectively if you're able to like just copy a lot of the mega attacks, like copying Mega Mawile or copying a Dragapult late game after you damaged it. Like, yeah, it's pretty good.
And I think was that
Um,
the last. Oh no, we had one more prediction. We had pick a player.
one more, pick a player, and Aaron, you picked Ovind Svinvold. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If I'm wrong, so be it. And I
Listen, I
picked
can't
Daniel
pronounce the
Magda.
man's name.
Yep. And Ovind finished 8-3-2. So he made day 2, finished in top 128. Daniel did well at the start of the tournament and then kind of fell off very quickly, and did not make phase 2 of the tournament. He finished in like 1,000 something, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's
Do you have
what
it?
happens when you play. I have to go to the bottom again because I went off the page.
Uh,
I think. Well, you know what? No, maybe I just searched the wrong thing. There we go. If you find Magda, so 748. But that's what you get for playing Cynthia's Garchomp. I mean,
yeah. At one point, if you click on him, he was 4-0. So I will say that.
yeah.
And then he promptly just speed ran, dropping from a tournament after going 4-0. So that was not my. I mean, it's kind of. If I had known he played Cynthia's guard shop, I would probably have changed my pick. I am sad that I picked Piper for Milwaukee and not for
Oh.
this tournament.
Yeah, but did you have any idea that Piper was going to attend
No,
this?
of course not. Like,
Right.
I don't know what North American players are coming. I mean, now I do. Now that we're doing Gdansk next week,
Yeah,
I
you have
think
to
there's a
imagine
lot
if
of
Piper
players
went. Yeah,
for sure. If I mean that's the upside of if you go for this one, you just have a long week in Europe, bop around or whatever, and then go play. And I think that's why we see so many international players for this one,
sure,
more
absolutely.
so than we normally see for European events.
Yeah.
We have those two regionals back to back like that.
Although some people, it was interesting. I saw Rahul was here as well. I
Hmm.
think he made top 64 or something like that. But he is now making the trip instead of going to Gdansk, is going from Lille all the way to Brisbane
Oh,
to play his
jeez.
second regional in 2 weeks.
I think he just
And
likes Australia a lot.
yeah, for sure,
That's the only way
for
I could
sure.
think of like justifying that realistically. That or he thinks he just has a better shot of doing well, but I don't know.
Some combination of the two, because I feel like, I mean, Henry's probably staying in Europe and playing in Gdansk is
Oh
my guess,
yeah.
if anything.
I mean
But
maybe not, but I would say probably. Like
but
the travel alone is just gotta be exhausting, dude.
oh yeah, absolutely. Because I know like Henry went out to France like a week before the event and was just like
Right.
hanging out in Paris, then took the train into Lille and was just having a good old time being a tourist. And if you have the luxury, the PTO, and the money available to do it,
Right.
100% that's how you should plan your long extended tournament week.
Yeah, and it helps
Um,
when you make top 8 and defray all those costs
For
for
sure,
sure.
for sure. And like you said, we did have a number of international players here. We did have some European locals, if you just want to talk about regional locals more or less. And Alberto Conti becoming a perennial Lille finalist at this point. Last year made finals with Reggie Drago and once again hitting it up with or actually is this three-time regional finals for him?
Ooh. So I'll have
I
to
can't
click
click
on
on
it.
it from this page. I know he made it last year with Reggie Drago, and I think was there a Lille regional in 2023?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have it up on my page. Let
Yeah,
me give me
yeah.
1 sec.
But I know he before this was also a fan of Giratina Lost Box, and
Uh,
I think it
yeah,
would be a
so
really cool stat if he
he got
coincidentally also had a
fourth in
finals.
Lille last
Oh,
year and first
oh,
in
four.
Gdansk.
Okay,
So
okay. I had it backwards.
and
Okay,
and then fifth in Lille the year before that.
with a dragon
Uh,
Pokemon.
with Darkrai or with Lost Tina.
Gear.
Funnily enough, the dude
So
played all of 2023, 2024. He played Lost Tina.
that's what I'm
So
saying. He's
yeah,
if
got
there is
third
a
at
legal, viable dragon
dude
Pokemon,
is the dragon. Well, he played Terra Box at Frankfurt. That's the only blemish on his record in 3 years.
right? But those aren't in Lille. So every year, if there is a
Okay.
legal, viable dragon Pokemon, Alberto will show up to Lille with it, and he will make cut. It's almost like a prophecy at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But we did see some other players. So European players that made it in. There was somebody else I thought I wanted to call out. Nope, misspoke. So we had a number of international players, like we mentioned, that made it in. Like you said, you already called out Piper with playing Zoroark of all things. So just interesting inclusion here. We see the Darmanitan making it back into the deck. And that's the one notable thing I wanted to point out with the Darmanitan
Mm-hmm.
with the Okidogi, literally Okidogi's highest limitless finish as of now. And I don't know, do you ever expect Okidogi EX to be higher than top four?
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, I think Zoroark's still a good
No.
deck. It can take it down, and I think that I mean we saw another Zoroark list in Gabriel Fernandez. He's running a different counter with the
The
Hoopa
Hoopa?
EX. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Okidogi better than Hoopa, but
Oh,
I
sure.
mean that just
Especially
may be
because
personal
you can
preference.
utilize the Mochi with it. No, like Okidogi with Mochi, you can subjugating chains it, and then it can hit 300 and one hit KO the Megas, regardless of how many energy they have on the field. Like Hoopa being dependent on your opponent kind of playing into it, I think makes it worse inherently.
Did it hit
Whereas the
300 or
Okidogi can
290?
just I thought it was
It's
300.
250.
I got to.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
250. Wait,
No, it's
no.
260.
No, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
it's
You're right. You're
130
right.
plus 130.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So
Oof.
300, like one hit
The
KO and
the the
Kangaskhan, like that's
mean
really
doggy.
big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a card that I don't think anybody expected to do well when it first came out. Like you had
Oh no.
the silly loyal 3 archetype, and like Okidogi was a cool card. Like 300's a lot of damage, but it takes some setup, and that's pretty difficult to accomplish. But you get some tricks with the Zorak deck, like you get the ends PP up. I think in one of Piper's stream games, she actually attacked with the Okidogi's first attack against an Absol box. Like promoted the Okidogi, used the attack, poison musculature to accelerate 2 darks to it, and then it poisons itself, so you're set up right away to do the 260 next turn. And she just started swinging with Okidogi and taking
Dude, it's
prize cards.
scary. Yeah. I mean, there's no
And
real downside.
it's got 250 HP too. Like
Yeah,
that
it's a
thing's a tank.
beefy boy, big dog.
But the other
Yeah.
like big story here, like Dragapult had kind of fallen off the face of the earth
Mm-hmm.
the first week of events, and all of a sudden it's back with a vengeance. And part of me feels like this is the Europe effect, because I feel like the upper level European players, and not all of these players are European. Like notably, Henry Brand was also playing Dragapult. Simon Fang was also playing Dragapult. But they're choosing to play as, rather than when you come over to the like stateside, the upper tier players. Yes, we have some Dragapult players like Andrew Hedrick's probably going to play the deck till it rotates, but then you also have like you have more, not more upper tier Guardy players, but I don't know. I'd almost argue that the upper tier Guardy players in the States are better than the upper tier Guardy players in Europe.
Yeah, I could buy that. I'll take that because yeah, it does seem that we see the same few names come up to the
Sure.
top, and a lot of
Right.
times we expect them to be able to pilot whatever deck they're playing well. You know, they
Right.
put the time in, they put the effort in, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Guardy right on the outside looking in too, and
Right.
so I don't know if I buy that 100% because it's still there, but
Well, like one of
um,
them, like Rune won the last European regional with Henry's list the same week that Mexico was happening,
okay,
and here, um, so I have to wonder, like, is this the newest Henry Chow concoction, or the Henry Chow Abana Med concoction that just didn't make its way from an American player because none of them were present? Like, are they now on the Mega Gardevoir and doing all this shenanigans rather than going back and including, oh no, Mega Gardevoir
yeah,
and Drifloon? Like, this is the
yeah,
answer
this
for
is
the
a
Absol
very
box.
it's a more aggressive build of it for sure.
And
You
then it
still
also
run
does a
the
little bit of like bet hedging against
sure,
Dragapult. Like, the other reason like these Gardevoir decks have gotten more comfortable, like I'm cutting TM Evo completely. I'm cutting my Curlias down. I'm just gonna rare candy all my Ralts up. And then all of a sudden Dragapult was like, oh, you're trying to go fast now instead of like reliably setting up. Cool. I'm gonna pop my Dust Noir, drop a Halucha, all your Ralts are gone. Good luck.
yeah. Also Badu. So if you're running only Rare Candy to
Sure.
get into
Yeah.
Gardevoir,
Yeah.
well, Badu's gonna like bring up Screamtail or somebody like that. Well, Screamtail's not a good one because he's got slap, but bring up your Fez or bring up something like that, and just
And say you're never
chill.
getting a Curl. Yeah, you're never getting a
Yeah.
Curlia into play. And if you do, I'll Dust Noir it.
Yep. So,
So
um, yeah, I think there's always that back and forth debate of which deck is better, Dragapult, Dusknoir, or Guardy when it comes to like facing each other. And the answer, like so many answers in Pokemon, is it depends.
sure.
Just what build of Guardy, like the Guardy Jellison, I think is probably better equipped in some ways to deal
Yeah.
with Dragapult. Um, and yeah, I think it just really depends on what you're expecting to face as a Gardevoir player, and if you're able to sacrifice other matchups to help out with Dragapult. The thing with Guardy though, like you know Henry Chow changes his list based on what the meta is, and so like it's able to adapt more effectively than any other list, I'd say. I mean, Zoroark's
Yeah.
been able to adapt a good bit week to week,
Right.
but not as much as
Where
Guardy can.
in Dragapult really can't, right? Like
Right.
the deck is too tight to really be able to do that. You don't have those flex slots. Now, notably, we saw Tord in the past found enough flex slots by being able to fit in his 4 rare candies, but he sacrificed the utility that you would need to like win that Absol matchup by not playing Jamming Tower and not playing Monkey Dory, just like other kind of like tech cards that people have commonly included that make it so realistically when you look at a Dragapult list, like I think Alexander and Alberto here, their lists are like 2 cards different, maybe. And I
Mm-hmm.
imagine if we scroll down all of these like Poltnor lists throughout the event, like all of these are probably within 3 cards of each other. Like it
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
surprise me. And
it's
where they separate themselves more so in experience and skill set rather than in card choice.
yeah for sure. I mean the deck. I was watching somebody play Poltnor on Twitch earlier tonight, and it was so funny because like every game they would open a hand and the hand would be unplayable, and it would just be like, well, this sucks. And it's like you just sit there for like 3 or 4 turns doing nothing, and eventually you draw like a lilies or you draw something that finally like gets you out of that, and then you have like a setup turn, and then following that like another setup turn, and then following that like pop off, I win. Like that's
Yeah.
all. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
every game seems like you start off like with the worst possible hand you could possibly draw. Like you boss 2 stage 1s, like yeah, just almost unplayable. And then you're just suffering through the first few turns of the game and trying to like just survive long enough to where you can like Badoo them. The Badoo gets knocked out. You put up another Badoo that gets knocked out, and then once the second Badoo's been knocked out, then you're able to just like destroy their whole board, wipe out all their attackers, Iono them late to like 1 or 2, and then get another turn where you're just able to like finish it all off. So it's a brutal deck to play, but it's even more brutal to like play against, because whenever you're playing the deck, you just never feel like you're out of it. You never feel like you've lost the game until your opponent has taken all 6 prize cards, because you can
Sure.
Iono them to the 1 and just come back and like bring up Fez. And yeah, it's crazy. It's such a powerful deck, but it's also just very unforgiving in its own way, and very frustrating, but also very good. And I mean, and not like we're saying we're rediscovering it. This is all kind of like known at this point. And you see like the Tale of Two Dragapults in the finals if you watch it, where Alexander just kind of gets double buff in turn 1, going first, and like Alberto just sits there and has nothing. And
Yep.
it's like, okay, yeah. So I mean, I think the first game was somewhat playable. Then yeah, the other two the other game was just like, yep, that's it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So
And
it's
everybody's kind of migrated away. Like you're not going to see like just looking at this, we don't see lists that are playing, 3 Brock scouting or anything like that anymore because everyone's just accepted that Dragapult is not a big enough player. Badoo is not a big enough player in the overall metagame to necessitate playing these supporter
well,
heavy
I think
lists.
Alberto's list had Brock's scouting.
Not a billion
His
copies of
two.
it, though. I mean,
Okay, sure.
yes, maybe that is
Two's is
more.
more than I
Two
would
is more
play
than
than.
0. Sure.
Yeah.
And I think 2 is
Sorry,
actually more
sorry to
than.
interject.
No, you're good. You're totally correct, too. I had not done my
Which
homework enough.
Yeah, which you would hope would do well in the mirror, but I think Alexander just drew better. Is the story of it? Like went second, drew better,
And
got
some
the
of that comes
turn
down,
1
like if
item
you
up.
have players that are playing similar decks, similar lists, and are of relatively equal skill level, that's where that luck
Yeah,
factor we talked about
true.
earlier comes back into the game. Like it is a TCG at the end of the day. And if you're in Pult Mirror, if you go first and you open like double Poffin plus energy multiple games in the series, you're probably going to win because you're up that energy attachment. You get into Dracloak first. Like, yes, you don't get to play your supporter first, but if you open double Poffin, you really don't care and you just kind of go from there and move on and you're up in like essentially tempo, which is not really a term that applies to Pokemon all that often, but I think in terms of matchups like Dragapult where you're playing kind of the honest game of only attaching one energy at a time, evolving your Pokemon manually rather than trying to rare candy stage 2s into play typically, like that becomes where tempo is an actual concept that exists in that matchup in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And being up in tempo is an advantage, obviously.
Yep. So I think that's almost everything at Lil. We had a couple of decks in the top
Yeah.
cut with
Anything else in
Terrorbox
particular you wanted to look at?
um I mean, did we talk about Terrabox as a deck?
No,
That kind
and
of
this one kind of excited me just because of one key inclusion here.
the Mega Mawile.
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
did not in my wildest dreams think that this card was actually going to be good in this deck, just because it takes 2 metals to do anything. Like it's a cool card, don't get me wrong, and has a very powerful attack like Gobble Down for 80 for each prize card that you've already taken. That's a lot of damage.
right. And Huge
And
Bite's a great
like
attack too. 260 for 3.
for
Very
sure.
good.
But
And it
I
helps
want to know
that it's
like
got a
what
fire
matchup in
weakness, which
particular
isn't
is
super
this good
relevant.
for?
That's a great question. I can't really think of one off the
Like
top of my head,
I
other than like it's just a good late game attacker that you can just swing with to like maybe the like
like I guess you can
Charizard
one hit KO
matchup or something like
Dragapult,
that.
but
I think
but it's like
Charizard, it helps your Charizard matchup because like you don't really have a way to close out a big hit into that. I guess you have the
I
Iron
mean
Leaves. Sorry,
you've got Iron Leaves,
sure.
you've got Teal Mask against Dragapult, you've got Clefairy against Cornerstone, you have Terrapagos. So I guess maybe it's like a Mega Kangaskhan a one hit KO, but
Yeah,
then you've got the Pikachu already, and I feel like that's typically better. So
yeah, could
that's
be.
what the thing that I'm unsure of. Like, yes, it can one hit KO Goldango with like Big Bite, just doing 260. Like that's pretty cool. But that's another matchup. Like you just want Pikachu in your active there, don't you?
I would say
So I don't
so,
know.
yeah,
Maybe
especially
it's
against
something I'm
Voltorb.
missing. Like I haven't been on Terrabox in quite a long time, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The Mawile is
260
something
is
that
nice
surprises me.
for. Well, I guess nah. Zoroark doesn't really. That's got 280 right. 270.
Right. And no, it's yes, 280 and the Mawile has the downside that if they already have damage, like you don't even do the 260 anymore.
Yeah, so it can be challenging to um, get it off. But I think the first attack is probably what you're trying to use a lot of the time. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. That's got
It's
to
good
be
to
it.
have like options. It just gives you more options. I'm sure there's times like if you ask, any player playing it, hopefully they'll be able to tell you. Like Alejandro would be able to say, "Oh, this matchup helps with this."
Sure.
So I don't
Sure.
know. But yeah, this is kind of typical Terra box. Otherwise, adding lilies in, yeah, that's about it.
And we've seen that before. Like that came from Champions League. Like people typically play a shuffle draw supporter, whether it's a
Yeah,
Lily or we've seen like the research, but it's because Terra Box is so combo focused, you don't really want to discard your hand most of the time. But we've
right.
seen like Lily, Judge, Iono, just all those kind of make their way in and out of the deck as people feel more or less comfortable with including those cards. But
Yep.
I guess my major question coming out of this event, we've got 5 Polt and then this straight Polt list from Felix still had a Dusclops line in it.
Mm.
Are there not enough Psyducks being played? Like, and would it really make that big of a difference? I guess is
Hmm.
the other question.
I think yeah. I think it'll probably have Psyduck will probably have more play going into this weekend than it did in Lille. We saw like somebody tweet out who was it? Somebody was like, I think it was just, Ian Robb saying essentially that this is one of the best positions that Polnor has been in going
Sure.
into Lille, and I think it was
Yeah.
valid. I mean, people weren't respecting Polnor anymore. They were saying, "Oh, that deck's not good." Gardevoir beats it every time, and it just can't keep up. And now that Psyduck's out, it just doesn't matter. And like that's just not true. Like it's still really good. Like it still has the ability to separate itself from so many other decks.
Hmm.
Dude, that's crazy. Ursaluna Lunatone was played more than
I know.
Zoroark. That's
I
so
wanted to
goofy.
talk about this deck when it popped
Oh my
up, and I was
gosh, I
like,
just saw that.
how many people did Tim Danklin pay to play this?
Pale, yeah,
And it's impressive that somebody like 2 people made top 128 with it. This is another
sure.
deck though. Like I
You're
know there was a
donating your
discussion.
money.
No, you cannot tell them how to have fun.
Sorry. You're right.
We've
We even
learned
had
that
this
we have
whole
learned that today.
conversation. You're right. You're right.
And
I'm not.
admittedly, this is a fun deck to play. It really is.
Oh,
Like
for sure, for sure.
like
It is a lot of
Ursaluna's a
fun
fun
watching it.
card. Watching it play out. And I
Yeah,
think
this
it's
looks
interesting to see the
just like Tim.
Terrakion come
Oh,
into
that's
play as
different.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, neat
Yeah,
concept.
this looks
But,
pretty similar to the list I saw Tim Danklin make.
but yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I think that's Lil in a nutshell. Like nothing
Mm-hmm.
really groundbreaking. Like Absol seemingly has fallen off. Maybe it rises back up as people like. Do we get into that vicious cycle like the safeguard Pokemon
Yeah.
cycle where people respected Cornerstone this week, so Absol players that did do well weren't playing Cornerstone, and the ones that were playing Cornerstone kind of fell by the wayside. So now people think that that's on the downtrend. Do they take all their techs out going into next weekend? And or does the med game go all the way around and you say, no, I don't have enough time to really adjust my deck. I'm just going to continue to play what I played before, and the Cornerstone continues to do poorly. And then you also have a separate kind of revolving door of decision making over here with the Dragapult versus Gardevoir scenario. And they're specifically that we don't care what everyone else in the room is doing because we're going to beat them. How do we talk to each other and how do we come to an agreement on which of us is better right now?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the answer is going to be at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not quite clued in enough to really give you like this is the hot read. Obviously, like based on our predictions, we're a little bit behind the curve, I'd say. Neither one of us is like actively playing and trying to take a tournament down at the moment, so I think we're a little less clued in than we normally would be.
Sure.
Which apologize, but it is what it is. I think Gardevoir is probably still well positioned. It's still
Oh, of
you know it,
course.
it's still going to do well. Um, and I think I mean I do imagine that more people will play Psyduck, but then that opens up the slot for Gardevoir or for like a Terra box where okay, now I'm able to like snipe stuff more easily, or I don't know. It's just you can never cover all your bases. You only have
No,
60
you
cards with which to work, so it's really we don't have Magic's sideboarding. We don't have um, infinite deck sizes, thankfully. Um,
no.
so it's tough. It's just kind of you play the deck that you've been playing and you hope to do well at some level. And if you can make a good read, like a tech conclusion last minute or something like that, sure, that makes sense. But other than that, like you know, uh, yeah, I think as far as what to expect this weekend, we can talk about that real quick.
Yeah,
I don't see a huge shift from the metagame that we've had. We didn't have any new decks introduced with Europe playing, so I don't really expect anything like Control or Conkel or something like that to go crazy on this list. I think it's kind of more of the same, essentially, is what I'm saying. I think Dragapult Dusknoir. Looking at the win percentage. I don't think it'll be quite as high as it was this weekend. People will be more prepared for it, whether that be putting in the Psyduck or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think Gardevoir Jellicent might have a resurgence if Dragapult Dusknoir gets really popular.
sure.
That I feel like is probably one of the better matchups for that deck. Like you just take that deck down, dude. Like I remember watching was it Milwaukee, some of the stream games where they had Gardevoir Jellicent versus Dragapult, and it was just not even fair, So, uh,
So
yeah,
then the question becomes like I think with the rise of Dragapult, we'll see Charizard numbers dip back down to probably like around the 6, maybe 7% area.
sure,
These aggro decks, I think that these are actually pretty stable numbers for these, and I don't think that they're going to really diminish too much. I don't
yeah,
expect them to spike by any means, but they'll probably sit right around there. I think we could see this Dragapult number. Like, this is pretty low compared to where it had been historically. And I wouldn't really be surprised to see some people maybe shift back over into that camp to see it rise back up. And like you said, the straight Gardevoir might go down a little bit and just kind of shift over into the Gardevoir Jellicent camp. And the more or less, I think a lot of the other decks are going to stay right where they are. Like a lot of these numbers, none of them are outrageously inflated to the point where I think a ton of people are really going to just jump off of the deck. Um, so my question would be, so in lieu of doing like a whole slew of predictions, I want to do two things this week. Like we've got
yep,
two regionals. So we've got the one in Brisbane and we've got the one in Gdansk. So for both of those events, picking a player to win. And then,
okay.
but before we get into that, I just want to know if you were playing in a regional this weekend, what do you think would be your personal deck archetype that you would bring to the event?
Um, it's tough. I think I'd either pick Dragapult Dusknoir and Zoroark. I know those are just kind of like the decks that did well the week before. But those are the ones I've put the most time in, truthfully.
Sure.
I lean toward Dragapult Dusknoir. I still think that, I mean, maybe people respect it this week now that it's got first, second. But I think I'm more prepared to play that deck at a regionals if I had to pick up that deck and play it, because I still don't feel confident playing on Zork. As far as like, I think that's kind of touching on what I'm saying is play what you're comfortable with at this point. Like the meta game's pretty established. You kind of know what you're getting when you play a specific deck, what matchup spread you're looking at, and if you feel like you have a skill edge, it's more important to have a skill edge with the deck you're playing than have the meta like edge playing a specific deck at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's where I'm going with that. So
Yeah,
that's yeah,
for me, I'm gonna take that tip to heart, and
yeah.
I'm gonna stick with Old Faithful. We're gonna run back Grimmsnarl. I think, gosh, in this event, I don't actually know how it did.
That's a great question. Look.
One in top 32, a couple in top 64, and I still think the deck is solid. Like we see losses to a loss to Goldango, a loss to Gardevoir, which a tie versus Raging Bolt here, tie versus Charizard. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you do have some level of variance that goes into any of your matchmaking. But I think that, when you're still boasting over 50% win rate against Gardevoir and, hovering around 50 or slightly edging out 50 against Dragapult, 60% over the deck that just won the regional last weekend against Charizard, like, I think the deck is still really well positioned. And when we've got things like Raging Bolt and Joltik Box kind of continuing to decline as what were considered to be some of your worst matchups, and I don't know, I still this number, this Goldango matchup has never made sense to me. I really think it is so much more favorable than what any level of online data indicates, and I think people are just playing it wrong. But maybe again, I could totally be coping about it.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just
Golden Go's been taking out a lot of the techs, especially
Right.
like
Like there's no Monkey Dory in the deck anymore. People aren't playing Picnic Basket. I think like this is my hot take is people are again not respecting this deck enough. I wouldn't be surprised to see it pop up, and not in like a high percentage of play rate, but I expect a couple of deep runs this weekend.
sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean,
Maybe if Mike Ellis gets out from behind the casting desk and goes out and
oh,
plays,
that'd be
we'll
cool.
see.
But I mean, we're
I,
seeing good players play it too. Like,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
Takuya Oneda or Takashi Oneda and
Like
Karen
Kieran
Farah.
Farah, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of these, like Kieran's got to stop playing so slow. 5 ties is unacceptable.
Oh, that's crazy. Ugh, that's disgusting. Yeah, don't do
I
that.
mean, you say the same thing here from Elliot Duclaw. Like 4 ties, too many.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's tough.
Get your reps in, folks. Like learn your
Something
damage
like that.
thresholds and
Yeah, I
play
mean, that's.
faster.
I don't know if the tie. Would we look at the tie rate for this tournament? I don't know if it's
Uh,
on
I don't
this.
think it's on this portion.
You
I
have to
think
go
I'd
to like.
have to go to either regular limitless or pokey data to see it.
I can go on regular limitless. Give me one sec. Where's this statistics or
I think it's in there. It honestly might not even be on that website.
it might be. I know it's on. What is
It's
it?
definitely on pokey data.
Yeah.
Apps for sure. But while we're trying to find that, so with Gdansk coming up, we do think we have a lot of. We didn't even mention the fact that Gabriel and Vinny Fernandez were at this event. Gabriel made it into asymmetric or into top cut, and Vinny was in top 32. They were both also playing Enzor Arc. Do you, and so other like many notable players from kind of all around the world making their way to this event. We have another European event that's not all that far away from France happening this weekend in Poland, and so that begs the question: who do you think is going to make top cut in Gdansk this weekend, John?
Oh, I'm just picking a player to make top cut.
Yeah, top cut player.
Just real quick on the tie rate, it was 18% tie rate. I think that's pretty high. It's a little higher than we've seen. I mean, like 15, 16 is what we're expecting. I mean, not insanely high, but not worrying, but something to like. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of ties. Essentially, so that's all I'm
Yeah,
saying. Let's see. Hmm. I made the mistake of not picking Piper this past week. I will have to pick the. You know, she will figure out because I think Zoroark's still in a decent position if Dragapult Dusknoir, like she got pretty unlucky in her set. She played it really well,
mm-hmm.
and I think there was just a couple things that didn't go her way. Like she whiffed something or other. I'm trying to remember the
I
top
think she
four
just like
match.
bricked both game 2 and 3.
Yeah, it was
Honestly,
pretty.
like
Yeah,
she
she
didn't
won
really
game
get
one,
to
a
play
close
the
game
game.
one. Right. So I think if we could be talking about Zoroark winning again, and I think Zoroark does have a decent Dragapult matchup. It's pretty resilient to Iono late game, all that kind of stuff, and you can build like board state that's really hard for them to take down. Um, He's running the counters and the side out. She's running the things that you need to put it into it to beat that deck. So I'll go with Piper for Gdansk.
Okay. Um, so I will go out on a limb here. I don't know if he's actually. I'm assuming he's sticking around for Gdansk, but I'm not positive. And I'm going to go with Kieran. I think
Okay,
he's going to stick on the Grimmsnarl. He's going to figure his tirade out, and he's going to go deep in this event.
love that.
And then to jump over, I'll go first for Brisbane.
Yeah,
And there's a lot of, I mean, we haven't seen a ton of Australian players making their way to a ton of events so far this year, outside of, I think Brent
Henry
Tonneson has
Brand.
been to a couple of events, and then obviously Henry Brand was here last weekend. But we just talked about him in his Ursaluna deck, and I want to pick the funny guy. I want to see him
There you
go make
go.
a deep tournament run, and I'm going to go with Tim Franklin, or as his new legal name should be, Tim Danklin.
Yeah, he's a character. I'm so glad we have somebody like that in the community. It makes it a lot of fun. I'm gonna pick Kaiwan Kababe. I think
Sure,
that
solid
he's just
choice.
solid choice every time. He's all, he might get overshadowed by Natalie and Henry and some of the other players in Australia, but truthfully, he's up there. Like he's
Right. I mean, he
I,
still tests with them. He often goes on
yeah,
very deep runs as well. Like when we looked at NAIC 2 years ago, when we had, I think, 3 Australian players in cut, he was one of them.
yeah. He's
And
so
he's
I
a
mean he's
capable
always
player for
there.
sure.
Yeah. I think he's won originals at some point, right? So
I'm not positive.
I'll have
I'm
to look it up.
That I am not fully positive,
He
especially because I have a lost zone of sorts in terms of like Sword and Shield era events and Sun and Moon. So like player results in that time period escape me.
That's fair. That's fair.
But we'll have to see how those results turn out. Just last thing here as we start to wind down on the show. Apologies for anybody that listens on Spotify. We had an issue come up where partway through the week after uploading, Spotify sent me an email that the music that I've been using for the show for the intro, which if you're now listening to this episode, will not be present on the episode because for whatever reason we were copyright stricken on specifically that episode and that upload, and it was summarily removed from Spotify. So I have now reprocessed the episode, re-uploaded it, so it should be there. But I know when I last checked, it still hadn't been reestablished in the Spotify content sphere. And so now I've reached out to them. Hopefully, it should be back in place though. So if you didn't make it quite all the way through the episode, hopefully you're able to finish it now. But you can also, if for whatever reason it isn't there, find that episode on Apple Podcasts or over on YouTube, where you can search us up at Battle Frontier TCG or Battle Frontier Podcast, rather, and hit that subscribe button. Help other people find the show. And I think that about does it for us, right? Like we're
Yeah,
going
that's
to
all
have
I
this
got.
episode again over on all of the typical upload spots. Like I mentioned, we'll be on Spotify is probably our primary focus, but we do also have the YouTube channel and any other podcasting platform. If you wanted to reach out to John, myself, or the show, you can hit us up on social media, and all of the links for all of that will be in the episode description below. But we hope you guys learned something, especially in that section up top discussing just how to approach events and how to really like get the enjoyment out of things, how to find the success in things, even if it isn't necessarily spiking a finish, whether it's a win or even a top 8. Like learning how to be happy with the success that you have and how to also improve as a player throughout that process. So I think that's an important thing to recognize, an important thing to learn. And I think with the break next week, you can look forward to us probably talking about some more of those Phantasmal Flames cards, as those pre-releases will also be starting up. But good luck to anybody participating in tournaments this weekend, and we hope you stick around to listen to more of our content here on the Battle Frontier in the future.
Have a good week.